rising 27 stories above Mumbai's Altamount Road, on a strip of real estate so exclusive it has earned the nickname, Billionaire's Row, stands a building that looks less like a home, and more like a vertical monument to modern wealth. This is Antilia, the private residence of Mukesh Ambani, chairman of Reliance Industries, and by most published estimates the most expensive private home on earth. To understand Antilia is to understand something larger than one family's taste for luxury AI euros. It's a window into how billionaire wealth reshapes architecture, city skylines, and the very idea of what a house can be. A tower named after a myth. Antilia takes its name from a phantom island that appeared on medieval Atlantic maps, centuries before European sailors had any real knowledge of the ocean's far reaches. Ancient cartographers sketched Antilia as a legendary land of riches, somewhere between fact and fable, a place people believed existed long before anyone could prove it. It's a fitting name for a building that has, in many ways, taken on the same mythic quality euros, a structure so lavish that stories about it can sound exaggerated even when they're accurate. The tower sits in Kumbala Hill, South Mumbai, on a plot along Altamount Road, one of the costliest addresses in Asia. The land itself carries a complicated history. It was originally the site meant for an orphanage-linked charitable trust. Before it was sold to a Reliance-linked entity in the early 2000s, a transaction that drew scrutiny and legal challenges over the following years regarding whether proper procedures had been followed. That controversy simmered in Indian courts and media for years, even as construction on the tower moved forward. Building the impossible construction on Antilia began in 2006 and continued for roughly 4 years, finally wrapping up in 2010. The design was the work of two American firms, Chicago-based Perkins & Will, known for large-scale commercial and institutional architecture, and Hirsch Bedner Associates, a Los Angeles firm specializing in luxury hospitality interiors. Euros, the same kind of design language typically reserved for 5-star hotel chains rather than private residences. That hospitality industry pedigree shows up everywhere inside the building, which more closely resembles a boutique luxury hotel than a family house. The building rises all 173 meters, or roughly 568 feet, across 27 floors euros, but because each floor was built with unusually high, double-height ceilings, the structure's actual bulk is closer to what you'd expect from a 50-story skyscraper. The total floor area exceeds 400,000 square feet, spread across a tower, engineered specifically to withstand an earthquake measuring 8.0 on the Richter scale, using a system of W-shaped structural beams and reinforced framing more commonly associated with major public infrastructure than private homes. Estimates of the total construction cost vary depending on the source and the year of the estimate, but most published figures place it at approximately $2 billion, or somewhere in the range of 15,000 crore in Indian currency. A 2023 valuation cited by several financial outlets placed Antilia's worth even higher, near $4.6 billion, reflecting appreciation in Mumbai's ultra-luxury real estate market and the near impossibility of finding a comparable replacement property anywhere else in India. Even after construction was finished in 2010, the Ambani family didn't move in right away. According to multiple reports, concerns rooted in Vastu Shastra euros, the traditional Indian architectural philosophy concerned with spatial harmony and energy flow euros, delayed the move for nearly a year. In mid-2011, dozens of priests conducted an extended purification ceremony inside the building, and the family formally relocated later that year. 27 floors of excess. Antilia's interior is where the building earns its reputation as one of the most remarkable private residences ever constructed. The top 6 floors are reserved exclusively for the Ambani family's private living quarters, offering panoramic views across the Arabian Sea and the sprawl of Mumbai below. The remaining floors house an almost dizzying array of amenities that would be more at home in a resort than a family home. 6 entire floors are dedicated to vehicle storage, with garage space for more than 160 cars, reportedly including luxury marques like Bentleys, Aston Martins and Mercedes Maybachs. A dedicated service floor allows the family's fleet to be maintained on-site, without ever leaving the building. 3 separate helipads sit on the upper levels, allowing the family and guests to bypass Mumbai's notoriously congested streets entirely. Inside, the building includes a private movie theater, seating around 50 guests, a ballroom finished with crystal chandeliers, multiple swimming pools, a fully equipped spa and wellness center, a yoga and dance studio, and a temple used by the family for religious observances and festivals. Perhaps the most talked about feature is the so-called snow room, a chamber engineered to generate actual snowflakes from mechanisms built into its walls. An almost surreal amenity in a city where daytime temperatures regularly climb into the mid-30s Celsius, a 3-story hanging garden, reportedly inspired by the ancient hanging gardens of Babylon, threads greenery through the building's vertical structure, softening the tower's otherwise urban, high-rise character. Design details throughout draw on the sun and the lotus flower as recurring visual motifs, rendered in a palette of cream, beige, and warm neutral tones. No two floors share an identical design. Each level reportedly has its own material palette, ranging from rare marble and mother-of-pearl inlays to imported rugs and custom furnishings. By some published counts, the residence contains as many as 49 bedrooms, along with dedicated guest suites built to accommodate high-profile visitors, business associates, and extended family during large gatherings, weddings, and religious ceremonies, events, for which Antilia has become something of an informal venue in its own right, a small city's worth of staff. Keeping a building of this scale running requires a workforce, more typical of a hotel chain than a private residence. Reports consistently cite a staff of around 600 people responsible for maintenance, housekeeping, security, culinary service, gardening, and technical operations across the tower's systems. That staffing level underscores just how far Antilia sits from the conventional idea of a home. It functions, in practice, as a fully staffed operation running continuously, year-round, to support a single extended family. Security is similarly extensive. Public reporting describes multiple layers of monitoring, restricted access points between different sections of the building, and modern, surveillance technology, including biometric and facial recognition systems, reflecting both the family's stature as one of India's most prominent business dynasties, and the intense public curiosity that surrounds their home. Energy efficiency has also been highlighted in coverage of the building, which has sometimes been nicknamed the Green Tower of Mumbai, due to its reliance on solar panels to offset a significant share of its electricity needs. A detail regularly cited in profiles of the residence as evidence that its scale wasn't achieved entirely at the expense of sustainability considerations, even if the building's overall footprint remains extraordinary by any measure. Life inside Antilia. Mukesh Ambani shares the residence with his wife, Nita Ambani, herself a prominent figure in Indian business and philanthropy through her leadership of the Reliance Foundation and ownership of the Mumbai Indians cricket franchise. Their 3 children Akash, Isha, and Anant Ambani grew up in and around the property, and in the years since reaching adulthood, have remained closely tied to the family home, even as they've built out their own professional roles within the Reliance business empire. Antilia has also become a recurring backdrop for major family milestones. The lavish multi-day wedding celebrations for Akash Ambani, Isha Ambani, and Anant Ambani in recent years drew international press coverage, with pre-wedding functions and family gatherings frequently staged within the residence's ballroom and garden spaces, further cementing Antilia's reputation as both a private home and an informal stage for some of India's most closely watched social events. Despite the scale of the residence, the Ambanis have generally maintained a careful boundary between the property's public visibility and its actual privacy. Antilia is not open to public tours, and access is tightly restricted even to prominent visitors. What the public knows of the interior comes largely through occasional released photographs, interviews given by the family, and reporting compiled from architects, designers, and vendors who worked on specific portions of the project over the years. A lightning rod for public debate, Antilia's scale has made it as much a subject of criticism as admiration. In a country where a substantial share of Mumbai's population lives in dense, informal housing within sight of the tower's upper floors, Antilia has repeatedly been cited by commentators, opposition politicians, and social critics as a stark symbol of India's widening wealth gap. The building's location, visible from major roads and surrounding high-rises, has made it something of an unavoidable public landmark. A structure people can't help but see, discuss, and sometimes resent, whether or not they ever set foot near its gates. The circumstances of the underlying land acquisition added another layer to that scrutiny. The property had originally been designated, decades earlier, for a trust intended to support the education of underprivileged children within Mumbai's Khoja community. Its sale to a Reliance-linked commercial entity in 2002, at a price that several reports characterized as well below prevailing market value, triggered formal objections from state revenue officials and a legal challenge that made its way to India's Supreme Court. While construction ultimately proceeded, and the courts did not permanently halt the project, the episode remains a frequently referenced footnote in most detailed accounts of the building's history. A reminder that even India's most celebrated architectural marvel carries a contested backstory. Security concerns have periodically thrust Antilia into national headlines for reasons unrelated to its architecture. A widely reported 2021 incident, in which an explosives-laden vehicle was discovered, parked near the building, triggered a significant law enforcement investigation and renewed scrutiny of security protocols surrounding the property. An unwelcome reminder that a residence of this profile inevitably attracts risks that most private homes never have to consider. Why Antilia still fascinates. More than a decade after the Ambani family moved in, Antilia remains one of the most talked-about private residences in the world, regularly appearing on lists of the planet's most expensive homes, alongside estates like Buckingham Palace and various royal palaces. A comparison that says as much about the scale of contemporary billionaire wealth as it does about Antilia itself. Part of the fascination lies in the sheer improbability of the concept. A private single-family residence built to the scale and complexity of a skyscraper, staffed like a luxury hotel, and engineered like critical infrastructure. Few buildings anywhere blur the line between home and institution as thoroughly as Antilia does, and that ambiguity is precisely what keeps it in headlines, documentaries, and, now, countless online videos dissecting its every floor. Whether viewed as an architectural triumph, a symbol of extreme inequality, or simply an object of pure curiosity, Antilia occupies a singular place in the story of modern wealth. It is, in the end, exactly what its name suggests: a legend built in glass, steel and marble, standing in plain view of an entire city, and yet still somehow just out of reach for everyone who isn't standing inside it. Note: Antilia is a private residence, and detailed interior access is not publicly available. The figures, features, and historical details in this piece are drawn from publicly reported sources, and may vary slightly between outlets, as exact costs and specifications have never been officially confirmed by the Ambani family or Reliance Industries.